Hey everybody, how's it going and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the incredibly flawless release that Nvidia has had with the latest 50 series cards. So flawless in fact that real people can't even get one. Artificial frame for artificial purchasers. But somehow Nvidia managed to make matters even worse for the few people who were able to buy one without a bot sucking it into the scalping black hole. So much so that they either can't use or can't fully use the card that they paid for. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. These cards that cost a kidney and your firstborn child can't even perform their basic function, being a graphics card. Apparently it's coming out now that people who do own a 5090 or even a 5080 are running into problems where the cards aren't being identified by their PCs and that Nvidia's own drivers are completely bricking these GPUs.
The more GPUs you buy, the more money you save. That's right. The more GPUs you buy, the more money you save. Work with me here. The more you buy, the more you save.
And it's also coming out now that these issues aren't even specific to the founders editions of these cards. Even AIB GPUs are having this exact same problem, and the best part is there is no actual solution to this problem. So congratulations to all of you launch day buyers hoping to get the latest Nvidia tech, but instead managed to spend $2,000 for an enormous paperweight. Now there have been some band-aid-like solutions such as switching from PCIe 5 to PCIe 4 to attempt to circumvent the issue, but it isn't an actual long-term solution and further raises the question of why is this a problem to begin with? This is the default interface for this GPU generation. Did they not even test it before launch? Oh, well, what's this? Let's read it together. Der Bauer said that board partners had 3 to 5 days to validate their board designs before production. As someone who designs circuit cards, this absolutely blows my mind. Even if you're fully prepared, it can take weeks to months, and that's assuming there are no major bugs in the design. Now, when I read this, I damn near choked on my food. How in the hell are you charging people $2,000 MSRP for your flagship product and it doesn't even work? You clearly didn't even have time for QA, and it shows that the executives were far more in favor of a sell now, fix later mentality. I mean, geez, this part of the Linus Tech Tips video makes so much more sense now.
I mean, it doesn't matter as long as it looks good, right? So how good does it look? Well, I'm supposed to be just showing this off. What I've actually been doing is looking around for a couple of interesting examples of how DLSS 4 doesn't handle everything perfectly.
They weren't behind him making sure he didn't say or do anything he wasn't supposed to. They were there because it was probably the first time they'd even seen the card. That video probably contained more QA time than its actual production life. And what pisses me off even more is that there are actually people defending this and brushing it off like it's no big deal. Case in point, the whole temporary fix to switch from PCIe 5 to PCIe 4. While it's great that this does work for some owners and allows them to use their card that they bought, this isn't a victory because at the end of the day, this shouldn't have been an issue to begin with. Again, PCIe 5 is the default interface for this GPU generation. How does the default setting on the card not work? This is the equivalent of buying a cross-gen game for the latest console generation, then coming to find out that the newer console can't even play the game that was made for it, and you have to play the lesser version on the older generation. Yes, you can fundamentally still play the game, but at the end of the day, it isn't what you purchased and what was advertised. Let's be realistic here. If I'm going to spend well over the launch MSRP for a brand new GPU, it damn well better work in all facets. Especially when some of these are being listed for the price of a car. It's completely egregious and blatant oversight on Nvidia's part that just shows they were looking to get away with doing as little as possible for this GPU release. And that's further proved when it looks like all their funding went into faking improvements with AI rather than actually making them. And that's not even the worst part about this. The worst part is we still don't know if this is a software or a hardware issue, and just how deep either one of those rabbit holes go. The most favorable outcome, granted not having these issues in general would be the most favorable outcome, but that's not the timeline we're living in. So the most favorable outcome would be that all it takes is a driver update and the 50 series cards that weren't actually bricked are able to perform as intended for those that bought them. However, If it's a hardware issue, that would mean that all of the cards that were released are fundamentally broken and are ticking time bombs. Even if Nvidia offers full replacements for them, it's going to inevitably affect the production of these cards, and for people who weren't able to buy one on launch day. We're already at a 16-week wait for some of these orders to be fulfilled, and now the people who were able to get a 5090 or a 5080 on launch are going to have the replacements take priority above the same exact buyers who are currently waiting for these GPUs to reach retailers' shelves again, which just ends up hurting the retail buyers and pushes them towards the scalpers market. Now, as much as I love seeing new technology come out frequently, I would much rather have to wait 3 to 4 years in between GPU releases if it actually meant that the product that we received was significantly better over the previous generation. I would prefer if they actually spent time to create a product that didn't waste a bunch of finite resources just to meet a shareholder deadline. Because as most of you already know, the jump from the 4090 to the 5090 is so negligible that it's basically a 4090 Ti with the $500 price bump just adding insult to injury. It's just blatantly clear that these cards were not ready to be released, and at the end of the day, the only people who lost were the consumers. However, I will give it to Nvidia. Jensen was right about one thing during the 50 series presentation. The 4090 was indeed the greatest investment he could have made, and this is only further proving that point. I'm going to wrap it up there. Like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.
The more you buy, the more you save.